There's 6 processes that can 2 to 3x your leads, sales, and your profits. And yes, I know that that is a bold statement, but stick with me because I'm going to be giving you in this episode the 6 cogs to what I call is the $1 million microwave. As the facts are that there is only a small percentage of people that are going to see your ad, opt in, go to the next page, watch your lead magnet, and then immediately buy your stuff. Now, if you do have this process working and it goes exactly from seeing an ad, opting in and buying your stuff really goddamn quickly, and tons of people do it at a really high percentage and it's scalable, please stop this video and go spend more money on that system and go drink a coconut. But if you don't have that system, then stick with me as I will show you exactly how we set this up for our partners. This is literally how we increase sales by 2 to 3 times, and it's a hell of a lot easier once you actually understand the strategy behind it. Actually, let me tell you why I call it a microwave in case you're wondering and saying, what the hell is Chris going on about? Now, the lead comes in first time. So let's say through your organic social post or an ad. Then you have a call to action, something they do next to either collect their email, their phone number, to get them into a DM, to join a community, something along those lines. Now, you're trying to get them into a sales process so that they can give you money for your stuff, right? Pretty sure that's what we're trying to do here. But as we can both agree, only a small percentage will actually buy in this straight line fashion. As I really highlight in the 39-page report showing you how to implement this entire system that we are in a trust crisis. Now, I highlight this in the 39-page report, and I'll pop a link in the description for you. It's a Google Doc. You don't need to opt in for it. It's free. You can just have it. But I show you inside of it that we are in a trust crisis. Google shows that we need to vastly increase the amount of consumption time and contact points and the platforms that we use for a potential client to have enough trust and credibility to make a sale. Because as the lead comes in, we can't let them go cold because they will literally forget about you. So we need a microwave to warm them up and keep them hot going into the sales process to maximize the likelihood of you making a sale. Cool? Okay, so now let's actually get into the 6 cogs for this. The 6 cogs that we're going to be using is email, SMS, calls, your content, retargeting ads, and a workshop. These are the 6 cogs to this machine that we're going to be using. So, number 1, email. Email is not dead, far from it. And any peanut that is saying that, run. Because email is a really direct and personal way to be able to reach your prospects. It's a medium that really allows for like in-depth communication, nurturing the relationship over time. And it isn't like getting in their way. It's not going to piss them off too much if you email, because along these 6 cogs, there is a general understanding of how often we can use them to contact somebody. So for example, I can send 1 email a day and it's not really going to piss people off, especially if it's good emails, like I'm actually giving good content and good value, then people are going to want that. Now, if I send a text message a day, that's probably going to piss some people off. If I try and call somebody every single day, God damn it, that's going to piss everybody off, to be perfectly honest. So with emails, you can educate, you can offer value, and you can subtly guide those prospects towards that buying decision without being overly pushy. So we start with creating what we call a new lead sequence. So at least the first 7 days, we drip feed valuable content, and we want to make sure that this is really engineered to do 2 things. We want to build trust and credibility by giving them value, and we want to make sure we give them a very clear next step that is not going to make it hard for them to buy. Because the call to action is really important. In each email, you can have a clear call to action, but it can be a call to action whether it's booking a call, replying back to you, watching a YouTube video. And in this way, you can keep it like persistent, you can keep it subtle, and also you can train your readers, your email opt-in people, your list, to be able to do something when they open an email as well. So, second cog in the system, SMS. Now, this is really intimate and immediate. It's a really good way to cut through the noise and get your message directly into the hands of your prospects. Now, we use SMSs, we use this when somebody first opts into our lead magnets into our system so that we can give them whatever it is that they wanted really quickly. Because most likely they're actually going to be on their phone. They're going to be on their phone when they're actually scrolling, seeing an ad and opting into something. So if I send them an SMS, then that's going to be another means to help them get into what it is that they actually opted in for in the first place. So the problem, as I kind of alluded to before, it's really easy to piss people off. So don't oversend them because upon registration, you really want to make sure that you get the SMS to them. And I really highly recommend not trying to automate this too much. If you want to go super high level, we have in many partners' businesses an AI bot that will send out the first 1 to 2 SMSs, and then when the prospect replies, the bot will stop, and it will then the sales team comes in and actually manually replies, so they're actually talking with a real person. So we use the AI bot to get the response first, then the bot stops once a reply comes through, so a real person can actually be doing everything. Another way to be using SMSs is to use as reminders. So maybe if there's upcoming calls, upcoming workshops, deadlines on offers, and helping increase attendance and show rates, that can work really well using SMS. But there is the caveat, I know it's probably the third time I'm saying it right now, just pump the brakes, don't overuse it, you'll piss people off. Have you subscribed? If not, this is the best time for you to subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. Why? Because it would be a bummer if you missed out on everything that's to come, or don't subscribe if you're not actually getting much value out of this, because there is a zillion other things that you could be doing. So I'd rather you go and do that. The ball's in your court. Now, the third cog is calling prospects. And yes, I'm actually talking about you or one of your team members picking up a phone or using a dialer in a CRM system and actually calling your prospects. Now, a phone call is one of the most personal ways to connect with the prospects. It's one of the best chances to actually build rapport, address concerns, and really tailor what it is that you can do for them to help them move along the line, to give them more value, and to be able to build up that trust, that empathy, that respect, to be able to actually help a purchase. Because in many cases, it's what your competitors are likely not doing. Okay, this is where we stand above the crowd, because especially we use calls, team calling, in very much a customer service aspect. We look at it not as a sales aspect or a sales process to begin with. I want somebody to opt into something. Again, like what we've talked about, someone's going to opt into something, I send an SMS, they're living life. They might be out and about. They might be dropping the kids off to school. They're going to be doing something. They're doing plenty of other things. No one's woken up and going, oh my God, I want your lead magnet today and that's all I want to consume. No one's ever thought of that in the entire history of the world. However, if I can get them to opt in because I've got a great compelling ad or post, and then I'm able to deliver that, but I'm able to then have a team member then call them within, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes of them opting in and saying like, hey Jess, I saw that you just opted in for XYZ. I just want to make sure that you actually got access to it. Did you get the link? Okay, fantastic. What is it that you're actually looking for to solve? Because I've got a ton of different training videos I'm more than happy to share with you, and I'll give you the specific one depending on what you're trying to actually get the most help with. And then I can give them more value. I can help them more without them trying to be pushy or trying to put them into the sales process, because then that prospect is much more open and warm to more communication and us coming into being able to take them into qualification that is non-salesy, because we're better able to give them what they need at the end of the day. Also, calls are fantastic for follow-ups. After initial meeting, after a workshop, after something to reinforce that connection and maybe even answer any lingering questions, and to have that personal interaction that's often very needed to get them into that sales process that then is much more likely for them to close as well. So, fourth cog now is content. Now, I briefly touched on the Google, the 7-11-4 rule, and how in the actual episode called The Most Successful Coaches Do This, which goes through the 7 tiny changes I use to scale 8-figure businesses, go watch that episode, and I'll pop a link in the description for that one. Because I talk about the one metric that we can't actually track. Well, I don't think I can actually track it. Maybe there's some smart cookie out there can do it, but it's the philosophy behind what we do. And that is increasing consumption time. Content is the bedrock of any real good warming strategy. It educates, but doesn't over-educate, and it inspires and demonstrates your expertise. So you're able to be able to build authority and to be able to provide much more value by being able to do this. But the caveat this, and why I kind of like put a little bit, not too much education when I did that little bit, which is a case of, I'm a big Dan Kennedy fan. I'm a big Dan Kennedy student, and he makes a very clear distinction that you do not want to over-educate.
We do not educate any more than is absolutely necessary to make the sale. We manipulate, we motivate. We do not need an informed consumer. We need an excited consumer. One of the biggest copy mistakes in this business is dispensing information and education and being a teacher instead of being a salesperson up until the time that we have their money, and now we should begin to teach.
Now, if you want to grow your social media following, I'm clearly not the guy. If you want to make a ton of money doing the work you love and actually enjoy your life at the same time, then I can show you how to do that. So when it comes to content, there's two principles I stick with to do exactly that. Number one, only talk to the contrarian points of view. If you're saying the same old vanilla stuff that every other man and his dog is saying on social media, you're doomed and people will just scroll straight past you. So you need to talk to the contrarian points that you believe that are useful so that you're able to get attention and then to be able to actually deliver value. Second is actually quality over quantity. One absolutely superbly spoken, well-crafted copy video will do so much more for you for driving leads and sales compared to just trying to scatter and just machine gun tons of different pieces of content, or trying to do one video and cut it up into a ton of different pieces of short form and then just trying to riddle the internet with them. I don't think that's the best scenario with it as well. Quality over quantity. Because here's my contrarian take. I believe you only need 6 killer videos to do the vast majority of your leads and sales in what we call that $1 million microwave. Because we have one pillar DTO video, then we have, or actually I've got an entire episode on that in this free course series on how to actually shoot a sales video that sells. And so subscribe if you haven't, because you do not want to miss that one, because I literally give you the exact framework I use in every sales video, in all my partner sales videos, and it works. Now, what we have is that one DTO video, but then we have 3 to 5 what I just call sideways VSLs that we link into the new lead sequence emails. So now, if you're tracking along and watching this series, you can see that there's a matrix coming together. All of these 6 cogs are in the machine working together. And this is why you have that really fast hockey stick growth, because this is not a 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. This is a 1 + 1 + 1 = 10 scenario. Because when these different cogs, when these systems are working together in this matrix, you just get a far superior result. Okay, cog number 5, retargeting. Retargeting ads is really about staying in front of your prospects after they've shown your interest. So remember, we've got different parts of your pipeline. We've got cold traffic to getting them opt into something, okay? So let's say someone lands on your opt-in page, but they haven't opted in. You can run retargeting ads with them giving another reason why to opt in and calling them out, or just maybe an effective retargeting ad is just rerunning that ad to be able to get it. Again, it changes per offers, which is why I'm giving pretty general advice just on that one. Now, what we do is we typically segment out and run this out for everybody depending on the main stages of the pipeline. So you can have one specific ad campaign specific to each part of the pipeline. So there's the opt-in, then there's getting them from opting in to, let's say, consuming a key pillar post, to then booking in a call, to then buying, so you can break it up as to where they actually are in your pipeline. Now, another way to look at this is through website visitors, using the pixel-based retargeting to show your ads and prospects who have visited your website, but they haven't converted to that next step. So you can remind them of what they're missing to be able to bring them back in. Now, there's also content engagement. So retarget those who have engaged with your content. They've watched a video, they've clicked on an email link, maybe they've attended a workshop, and you offer them the next logical step in your sales process. Because another way to think about it is then to use cross-platform retargeting. So use multiple platforms, use Google, Facebook, Instagram, retarget them across the different platforms. So again, you go back to the consuming more content over more touch points, over more platforms as well. Okay, sixth and final cog in this machine is workshops. Now, we typically only turn on workshops with our partners once they're at $100,000 a month and beyond. Because what we will typically see is we'll get to a point where we're having a really good cost per acquisition, and then we might see the cost per acquisition starts to creep up. And this can typically happen once the coach is doing about $100,000 a month or more. Once we see that cost per acquisition creeping up and we go, what can we do that is going to radically bring it back down? It's typically actually going to be using workshops. As what we do is we offer prospects a hand-on experience with your coaching style, with your ability to deliver value. And it's very much an immersive approach that really accelerates the trust building and demonstrates how you transform them with your offer. And typically this is really going to be for people that weren't going to actually buy over a DM, or they need much more tender loving care to be able to get into, let's say, that sales process as well. Now, you can have free or paid workshops, and there is an argument for both. And in most cases, I will say we actually have our partners run free workshops because we're just trying to get the person to be able to consume the content with you, to be able to then go into that sales process. Now, remember what I said and what I brought up and shared from Dan Kennedy, because a lot of coaches overcoach in workshop. And what happens is that the prospect feels full. And then they say, oh, I've got to go digest this before I can do anything else. So then they're not interested in buying your stuff. So the way we build workshop is to have a highly specific problem solved on the workshop and ensuring they actually make the distinction in their head so that they will say something along the lines of, well, if I want this result, then what this person's selling is the perfect solution for it. That's the thing you want in their head. You want them to have that thought. And so you can either use workshops to be able to drive into sales calls, or you can actually just close on the workshops themselves. Again, it's dependent on the market. It's dependent on the offer. It's dependent on the sales ability of you, the coach, actually hosting the workshop as well. So bringing this all together, what we are doing is strategically using these 6 processes to be able to have a layered, multi-dimensional approach to warming up prospects, each being able to have the touch points build upon the last, being able to deepening trust, increasing engagement, and moving them closer to a buying decision. Because remember, the goal isn't just to make a sale, it's to create a relationship where the prospect feels understood, feels valued, is confident in your ability to help them achieve their goals, is confident in themselves to be able to go through what needs to happen for them to achieve their goals. That's what you're trying to do. So if you haven't subscribed, then you know the drill. I really recommend that you do, because coming up, we have the exact process laying out how we scale 7- and 8-figure coaching businesses. And it would be a bummer if you missed out on those. Also, if you found this episode and you haven't gone through the starting episodes of this free course series, then I'll drop a link in the description for you to be able to get access to the entire course for free. And if you simply just have seen the light and you just want us to build, install, and run the entire marketing system that is selling 20+ new clients every single week, then I suggest you schedule a free one-on-one call. Now, this is not a sales call. This is our way to answer all of your questions, qualify if we actually can help you, but importantly, actually show you exactly how we would scale your offer in a really quick 10 to 15 minute conversation. And ideally, if you're doing $50,000 a month or above, this is really the next step that you want to be able to take as well. So I appreciate your time and attention sitting with me in this episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next. If you've enjoyed this episode and it's vibed with you, then make sure that you hit subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. And importantly, if there is any guests that you want me to have on the show, or specific questions or topics that you want me to be able to cover for you, simply put it into the YouTube comments or send me an Instagram DM. That way I can make sure you're getting the most out of actually being here.